Well, Ethan, back today with another album review, and what I got today to review is a really good one. This is the third album from this legendary band from Jacksonville, Florida. This is, sorry about the glare, Nothing Fancy from Lynyrd Skynyrd. There's a shot of the back right there. There's the guys walking. See it right there. Yeah, like I mentioned, this is their third album released in March of 1975, recorded in early 75, and the first song on the album was recorded in 1974. So, like I mentioned, their third album, this was a time period in the band's history where had just coming off the road from touring for almost a year. They hadn't seen their hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, in almost a year. The huge success of the debut album, pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd, in 1973, and the almost as equally successful second album, Second Helping, released the following year in 74. So they toured extensively around the country, and I believe they might have gone to Europe as well. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to look into that. But they toured all over the country during that time, supporting those two albums, their two probably most famous albums. And then they kind of had some fatigue when they came back into the studio and recorded this one. Produced by Al Cooper, released on the MCA label, as were most of those first five Lynyrd Skynyrd albums. And it was recorded in Studio One in Doraville, Georgia, which is a studio that was started for the Atlanta Rhythm Section, another band I really love, and a band that I reviewed one of their albums maybe about a month ago. Studio One, famous recording studio in Doraville, Georgia, that is now defunct, no longer in use as a recording studio. From what I can tell online, it's like an old warehouse, abandoned warehouse, or some form of warehouse. Third album, Nothing Fancy. The band consists of the classic lineup. The only difference is this is the first album with new drummer Artemis Pyle, after Bob Burns left the band after Second Helping. This features, of course, Ronnie Van Zant on vocals, Gary Rosington and Alan Collins on lead and rhythm guitar. Ed King still plays on this album, so you had the three guitar attack. Leon Wilkeson on bass guitar, Billy Powell, of course, on keyboards, and like I mentioned, Artemis on drums. That's Artemis right there. Actually, the only surviving member from these first couple of Skynyrd albums. Gary Rosington passed away about a year ago now. He was the last original member. Artemis is not an original member, but he did join the band in 75 for this album. And I think this album really benefits from him. He's a great drummer, rapid fire drummer, really aggressive player. There's the inner gatefold. It's got a little booklet. Look at that there. We got some pictures in the studio. Look at that. There's Ed King, Artemis, Gary, Ronnie. There's another picture of the guys. Yeah, just really love that booklet with the pictures on it. And here's a better picture of the cover without the glare of the glass. So, yeah, let's get into the track listing. It kicks off with a Skynyrd Stone Cold Classic in Saturday Night Special. That is a rousing, rampaging, hard Southern rock song. I love it. Top 10, probably Lynyrd Skynyrd song for me. And I did want to mention, from there, the album is kind of slower. It kind of takes a step down. I mentioned the first two albums, which are, rousing, fun, heavy, crazy guitar, Freebird and all that. Working for MCA, Simple Man, Call Me the Breeze. A lot of heavy, really classic, hard rocking Southern rock songs on those first two albums. This album is a little more understated, a little more mellow, maybe a little more laid back, we'll say. The next song is a song called Cheatin' Woman. Really good song. Has a phenomenal guitar solo from, I believe, Alan Collins on it. A Railroad Song is the next song. It's kind of a, like I said, more of a laid back kind of country rootsy song. I'm a Country Boy, the next song, very much similar, more country, more rootsy. Um, I do love Ronnie's vocals and lyrics on I'm a Country Boy, just a really, really fun song. Side two kicks off with On the Hunt, which is a really good, heavy, kind of moody, plotting Southern rock anthem. I really love Ronnie's vocal on that, and the kind of the lyrical content is really good as well. I just really like that song On the Hunt. Get the booklet back in there. The next song is Am I Losing? This is a mellower song, not one of my favorites on the album, but still a really good, well-written song, kind of a thoughtful, introspective song. Ronnie, while he did write a lot of kind of up-tempo party rock, southern rock songs, he did kind of dial it back and do more of a introspective, melancholy song, more so in their later albums, this one and going forward, I would think. And I would include Am I Losing in that. Made in the Shade is kind of a fun, rootsy, bluesy song. Kind of has like a kind of a country, rootsy, bluegrassy kind of vibe almost. Really fun song, different for them though. Whiskey Rocker Roller, the last song on the album, really fun, kind of southern rock anthem. Really good song there. Kind of kicks off the album, kind of ends the album on a more up-tempo note, whereas the songs mentioned before, right before it, are more kind of laid back, I would say. I just wanted to review this album because I've always thought it was kind of an underrated album in their discography. You know, the first two, like I mentioned, are probably considered the most legendary. And then you have, excuse me, Street Survivors, which is the album right before the tragic plane crash in late 77. Also considered one of their better albums because of maybe the infamous circumstances surrounding that album. You know, it was released like 3 days prior to the plane crash. So I think that album, in my opinion, is a little overrated because of that. I always thought this album, well, get some glare. I always thought this album was an underrated gem in their catalog. While probably not as legendary, like I mentioned, as the first two, just some great songs on here. Just great songwriting, kind of like I mentioned, more laid back. This is like a summer afternoon, front porch kind of sitting album. Just real southern, real rootsy. Great lyrics from Ronnie Van Zant. What a great lyricist he was. Even the mellower songs are interesting and fun. So yeah, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Nuthin Fancy. Really great underrated album in their discography. Third album, not released in 1975. For a rating, I'm going to give this one a 93 out of 100. So an A minus. It's not a legendary, top 10 rock album of all time, but I really love it. Great album. I highly recommend it if you love Southern rock and Skynyrd. So yeah, thank you for watching this album review. Nuthin Fancy from Lynyrd Skynyrd.